I don't know how many noticed this, but what the five elders said was very similar to what Sengoku said to Shanks in the Marineford arc. Shanks has always represented an individual that wants to keep the peace. He is someone that arrived in Marineford and is like, I am here to end this war. And Sengoku's like, you know what, I agree. Because it's you, we will stop this war. And there was peace. Both sides were able to set aside their differences for the time being, allow people to retreat, allow both sides to collect the dead, and go on with their way, and settle it for the time being. Even though he seems to be like a goofy individual that likes to drink, talk about Luffy and all that, he can be very serious, and when he is serious, he likes to make sure everything is civil. So he's always been this character that shows that he knows when it's time to fight, and when it's time to just stop, and let's just wind down. And now with the events of this chapter, it brings Shanks' character into question. One of the big things is, he says that he has a certain pirate he needs to talk to the five elders about. Now, this certain pirate, there's a lot of names that you could come up with. You can come up with Luffy, which would be an obvious one because of Luffy and Shanks' connection, and the events that happened in the recent arc with Whole Cake Island. You could say that that's who he's mentioning to the five elder stars. Now, if it's not that, other characters he could be talking about could be Blackbeard, because we do know that there's some beef between Shanks and Blackbeard, given the scars, and we know he's also another, Yonko. So, I mean, when you look at all of that, I mean, Blackbeard could be the certain pirate that Shanks is mentioning. And if it's not that, it could be maybe the captain of the Rocks, the Rock Pirates or whatever, which that is a perfect segue for me to get into the next subject at hand before I get back into Shanks. We had a surprising revelation with this chapter. Not just the fact that Big Mom and Kaido have a connection, it goes even deeper than that. Oda didn't just stop at giving us a heart attack with just letting us know that Big Mom and Kaido could potentially team up in Wano, but the fact is that these two individuals were actually at one point in time on the same crew, and they had a captain. Now, I don't think I really need to spell it out, but Big Mom, Kaido, Yonkos, okay, Emperors of the Sea, they were on the same crew and had a captain. Who was their captain? The only noteworthy name that I think it could potentially be would be Shiki. That's the only person I could potentially say. We know it's not Whitebeard, we know it's not Roger because of what was stated, so who was their captain? Is it someone we know? But whoever it is, it's very alarming, because Garp apparently got his title, the Hero of the Marines, and also why he's so famous is because of whatever he did in that era with Big Mom and Kaido. And also whoever was the Rocks, the Rock Pirates, or the Captain Rock, we really don't know. But the point is that the mentioning of the fact that Big Mom and Kaido were on the same crew, not just in an alliance, no. It wasn't like Whitebeard and Shanks having a little mini alliance that was in Marineford, no. It goes further. Big Mom and Kaido, same crew, with a captain that obviously was stronger than them, and just thinking about the level of Big Mom, already at an early age, how crazy she was at a young age, and I can't even imagine what Kaido was like. We'll probably eventually find out. I can't imagine who the captain was. I can't even begin to imagine how insanely OP he is, but here's the thing about that. With this revelation, it also indirectly builds up Roger. Because Roger was, quote-unquote, king of the pirates. He was the best pirate, the world's best pirate. He was the king of the pirates. And for this man to achieve and get One Piece, become the king of the pirates, that automatically means that Roger was way above any of these pirates, which we already knew that. But the thing is for someone to be the captain of Big Mom and Kaido, and he still couldn't, or he or she couldn't achieve and become Pirate King, I can't even imagine how strong Roger is. That's what really blows my mind right now. So think about that. Just put that in perspective of how insane Roger must be just to find out now that Big Mom and Kaido had a captain. Okay, so let's get back into Shanks for a second, okay? So, the potential people that Shanks could be talking about, like I said, it could be potentially Blackbeard, it could be Luffy. Other characters it could be is the old captain of Big Mom and Kaido, which we don't really know. It could be Shiki for all we know, or, I mean, there's other guesses out there that you can, obscure guesses you can have. I mean, maybe he's mentioning, like, Revolutionary Army or something. I mean, we don't really know. We don't really know much or what pirate he's talking about, but whatever the case may be, Shanks, who he's talking about, is definitely going to hold a lot of weight, and I really don't think it is Luffy. I just really don't. I don't know, because with the whole connection that Shanks had with Sengoku and all that, how Sengoku had this respect for Shanks, and then now seeing how the 5 elders have respect for Shanks, something's definitely going on with Shanks' character, and like I said, it brings his character into question, because he's at a place right now that no pirate should technically be at, okay? It's understandable why Leo is there and all that, and Sai, because, you know, they are just guards or the kings of their country. Well, we already know this, so it's understandable why they're there. But the thing is Shanks is a known pirate, a emperor of the sea, and they're allowing a man like that to walk in on the 5 elders. Now, this also lets us know that the 5 elders is obviously insanely strong, just for them to allow Shanks to be there. That means that they easily could hold off Shanks. That's debatable. We don't really know, but I'm just saying, for them to allow someone of his caliber into that room, that means that they definitely could put up a pretty decent fight, and they are definitely no joke whatsoever. But anyways, getting back on topic though, why I said Shanks' character is brought into question is because now with the whole thing with how he was able to stop the war in Marineford, and then now the Elder Stars were calling him in and he was talking with them without any issue, it makes me wonder if he could potentially be working for the Marines, or the Navy, or the world government, or he is someone that's just in an alliance. He just wants to keep the peace. Something along the lines. And it makes you wonder, is Shanks really the good pirate that Luffy knows, or if there's more to him that we don't know? Very curious about that, because that was really off to me with how this man was just allowed in there. I mean, even if he is a peaceful individual, it's just like, it's something unheard of from what we've seen from the series, of One Piece letting a pirate like him just walk up in there. But okay. Let's talk about some other amazing details with this chapter, and that would be the whole scene with CP0 and the Celestial Dragons. Now, it was very obvious that Carlos would try to capture, Shirahoshi. That was very apparent. I mean, anyone that has been paying attention to the Celestial Dragons as characters in the first place, and also the events of what Carlos did in, a long time ago when the Straw Hats were separated, and he tried to get Kami, you know that he's that type of individual that was definitely going to go after Shirahoshi. It was just a matter of time. Now, like I said in my last chapter review, I figured that this entire plot point would be something huge. Like, it would be very critical for the Reverie arc. Now, it still potentially could be. It could turn out to be much, much worse than it is. But the thing is it was settled in a way that completely was unexpected. Like I said in my last chapter review, I figured that Shirahoshi, she was going to get stolen, taken away and turned into a slave, and obviously I said Neptune was going to intervene in some way, but it probably wasn't going to do much, and most likely we were going to have, like, Rebecca, and we were going to have Vivi and everybody else just that's a part of Luffy or met Luffy. They're going to rise and say, we don't want this, and they might join the Revolutionary Army, because the Revolutionary Army decides to go in and save Shirahoshi, and that could lead to a big dispute with the Reverie, because we know the Revolutionary Army is there. That's what I thought was going to happen, and many agreed and said, yeah, that seems like the possibility, and most likely the case, but that did not happen. There was some form of it happening, but the events of it was completely different. But it wasn't the Revolutionary Army that stopped Carlos. No, in fact, it was another Celestial Dragon. And not just any Celestial Dragon, no. It's not just the Celestial Dragon from Fishman Island that, Otohime saved, but it's also a member of Daffy's family, a Don Quixote. Whoa. Okay, so that name drop blew my mind. I'm just like, this man's related to Daffy. Now, I guess this falls in line with the Don Quixote family, from what we have seen. I mean, think about Rosinante, and then, his father, and then now this dude. The Don Quixote family seems to have quite a few good guys in, their family. Very good individuals that are not heinous whatsoever, and the man made a change of heart. So I'm just like, you know what, this is just truly surprising, and I'm pretty just shocked by that. It really shows how different Daffy is as a Don Quixote, but on top of that, it makes you wonder if someone like the Don Quixote family, like, how heinous that individual was in the Fishman Island arc, if he could change into something like this, saving Shirahoshi, then makes me wonder if Daffy might learn a lesson. if he could potentially turn over a new leaf. I mean, I don't know if I ever want him to, because he's just like, I like his evil side, but I mean, you'd think he could potentially do it. I mean, if someone as scummy as a celestial dragon that we saw in Fishman Island can change, Doffy could potentially change, because he's very intelligent, and he definitely is someone I think could actually learn and try to be a better person. I don't know, I just feel like he could be that type of person. But yeah, a big thing about that part, though, is CP0. Now, we've all known for a very long time now that Rob was a part of CP0. We knew Kaku was. I mean, Stussy. We knew all of this. It wasn't anything relatively new in terms of information. But it was very nice seeing Rob once again in the series, and Kaku as well, because even though we knew they were a part of CP0 and eventually they would pop up, it's amazing to finally see these characters relevant once again. And just as a brief reminder, in case you forgot, Kaku is always the individual from, CP that actually, had a little bit of a different side to him. He's someone that in some ways regretted what he did to Iceberg and Frankie, and he showed, like, humanity, that he truly was upset with what actually had to happen. He actually grew a bond with them. And so it does show that Kaku isn't necessarily 100% evil, and I do wonder eventually if he might have some form of change of heart in the series, but at the very least, we know the Rob we knew and loved throughout, Ennis Lobby and all that Water 7, he's the same piece of crap that he always was. I mean, oh my god, what he did, his ideology, and how he feels about the Celestial Dragons. He's like, all of the royalty that came to, to the Reverie, they're just lower kings of the lower world and all that. While these people here are gods. They've created this world. And you shouldn't question, the authority of these gods. You shouldn't try to reason with these gods, even if it doesn't make sense, because they are God. It just, Rob proven that he is truly a heinous individual, and by no means has changed quite a bit even after the smackdown that Luffy gave him. So, yeah, I feel like, yeah, if he met Luffy, he definitely would go all in to try to end the man. But, yeah, that was very nice to see the man back, and it was nice to see Kaku and Stussy and Rob all in one panel. I don't know if it's just me, but just seeing, like, Stussy, which is, like, a new character that was introduced in Whole Cake Island, now with these old characters, these familiar faces, it was very pleasing to see. Big Mom's favor. So apparently in the past, Kaido did something that he needed help from Big Mom, and Big Mom did him a really big favor, a lifetime-long favor. Which makes me wonder, what could that potentially be? What type of favor did Big Mom do for him? Like, why is he in her debt? That is a very big question. Because from everything we know from Kaido, he's an individual that's unkillable. He's tried to end himself multiple times. And for him to, of all people, to request a favor, what is it? What favor is it? That is what I'm very curious about. And that really makes me wonder, because with this favor and all that, and Big Mom's like, I'll be the one to take, Straw Hat Luffy's head, it also sets up the fact that Big Mom and Kaido are going to be at Wano at the same time. We all thought that Big Mom's entire story was probably going to get settled in Elbaf, or when we return to Whole Cake Island, but that does not seem to be the case with this chapter. Big Mom is probably going to go into Kaido's territory in Wano, fight with the man to take down Luffy, which is pretty freaking scary when you really factor all of it in, because of what Big Mom is capable of, and then Kaido from what we have heard from him. So, yeah, it's not just going to be one emperor they're going to be taking down, it's going to be two at the same freaking time. That's nightmare fuel. Oh, that's scary. But, next thing also to talk about, let's talk about the throne room. So, Starity, being a piece of crap, he wants to sit in the throne and all that, and, I mean, I feel like before this arc is said and done, someone's gonna sit in the throne, maybe a Celestial Dragon, or someone that's basically gonna say war is officially started. I feel like something like that could potentially happen just because of that setup. It feels like something very important that was set up in this chapter, and it feels like something Oda would use for, like, a cliffhanger for this arc, but, yeah, that's what I think with the way that it's set up to saying that all the Celestial Dragons, all of royalty, they are on equal standing and all that, there's equality between all expel them. I just feel like that's set up for whatever's going to happen this arc, where someone's going to sit down in the throne. Maybe Steri himself might sit down in the throne. But getting back into that dialogue, though, of the throne segment, so we have a bunch of swords below the throne, which I'm assuming represents all the different countries that has allied themselves with, you know, the world government. And then the 20 weapons that are next to the throne is the original 20 creators, the 20, you know, kingdoms that worked together to take down the original kingdom, which eventually made the poneglyphs and stuff. So it's very interesting to find out that the Celestial Dragons do have this hierarchy system, which is what I was talking about in my previous chapter review, that could potentially be a thing. Because with the whole crown thing in the last chapter with the big giant straw hat, I mean, that seemed like that Celestial Dragon was definitely different from a normal. And so there is definitely like some form of hierarchy system, especially for Celestial Dragon coming in and attacking Carlos like that and just putting him down. I mean, they are on equal standing as Celestial Dragons, but even then though, I feel like there's just like some Celestial Dragons may have more political power or pull than others. And most likely the Don Quixote family most likely has more pull than whatever, you know, Carlos is, his family. So that's the point I'm getting at. And also on top of that, it does let us know that all the Celestial Dragons are one, like, selective unit. Like, they're not all on the same page and agreeing with each other. That does mean that they all have their own opinions, and that does also prove that there's probably many Celestial Dragons or families within the Celestial Dragons that could potentially be actually good individuals. So, it's kind of like saying not all Celestial Dragons are bad, and it's kind of funny when you think about it like that, because it's like, ever since the beginning of the series when we really started hearing about Celestial Dragons, we always had this picture painted to where they were the ultimate evil. They were the in-game baddies, besides Blackbeard, obviously. The Celestial Dragons are these just evil manipulators that don't show any humanity whatsoever. But for the first time, we really get to see a truly nice Celestial Dragon. Not an exiled Celestial Dragon like, you know, Rosinante, but we actually get to see a Celestial Dragon that is still a Celestial Dragon, but shows that he is a very good individual. And this means that the theory of Luffy having a Celestial Dragon mother and Dragon being connected to the Celestial Dragons is even more possible now. Because if we are seeing a Don Quixote family showing some form of humanity, that means that maybe one Celestial Dragon could have been interested in someone and fell in love. Some taboo, basically. A taboo lover, and she decided to marry him, and then Luffy was conceived. I feel like something like that is definitely being implied here with this new revelation with the Celestial Dragons. Anyways, I'm glad to see that in the end, Otohime, which sacrificed her life in Fishman Island, it wasn't for naught. She managed to make a step forward for all fishmen, and so it was nice to see a little bit of a conclusion that's been building up for many years now. But that's about it when it comes to this week's chapter, so let me know your thoughts. How do you feel about all the information, the revelations to Kaido, Big Mom, to Shanks, to the Five Elders, to Garp, I mean the Rocks? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.